You're sitting at a red light, not moving, when suddenly someone slams into the back of your car. It wasn't your fault, but now you're stuck dealing with injuries, bills, insurance adjusters, with no idea what comes next. I'm Matt Albrecht, a personal injury attorney in Washington State, and I help people navigate this situation every day. This video is going to break down exactly what you should do after you get in an accident that's not your fault. Who to call, what to say, and how to protect your claim from the very first step. Because even though you didn't cause the crash, one wrong move after could cost you. So let's get right into it. You were in a car accident in Washington State, but you're sure this was not your fault. Maybe you were rear-ended at a stoplight, maybe someone ran a red light and T-boned you, or a distracted driver sideswiped your car. You might have got cut off on the interstate. You're shaken, maybe you're in pain, and you're worried about what you're going to do about your car, your health, how long this is going to take to fix, how you get your car towed, or what happens next. So here's exactly how that process works if you were not at fault in Washington State. Step 1. You need to report the accident and protect your rights. First things first, always call 911 if anyone is hurt or if the accident is blocking traffic. In Washington, you're required to report an accident to law enforcement if there are any injuries or property damage exceeds $1,000. Even if you think the damages are minor, don't skip this step. If you do, crucial evidence might be lost. And now the police might not always come out, and if they don't, you're going to need to file a motor vehicle collision report with the Washington State DOT within 4 days. If you have that report on file, it'll help protect you in case the other driver decides to change their story later. You'd be surprised how often friendly people on the scene become a lot less friendly later on and decide it wasn't their fault after all. Collect all the information you can at the scene. Names, contact info, insurance details. Take photos of the vehicles, license plates, and of the scene itself. Really important, collect the information for any witnesses because it'll be hard to track those people down later. Take photos of the skid marks, the traffic signs, or anything that might help prove it wasn't your fault. Second, seek medical care, even if you feel fine. After the chaos settles, adrenaline fades, you might find out you're in pain you didn't notice at first. In Washington, insurance companies will often argue that if you didn't get care right away, that means you must not have been hurt, or your injuries weren't serious, or maybe there was no injury at all. So you want to see a doctor as soon as possible, even if you're just feeling sore or shaken. Make sure you let the doctor know that you were in an accident and describe all your symptoms. Even if they seem minor today, what could turn out to be something that requires a shoulder surgery sometimes starts out as just a twinge of pain because when you're in shock, you don't necessarily understand how you've been injured yet. Now, a lot of people will worry about the medical bills, especially if they don't think they have good insurance. But in Washington, your own car insurance probably includes personal injury protection coverage. This can pay for your medical bills, lost wages, and even help you with household services. So get familiar with your own policy and ask your insurance broker specifically if you have PIP. Now, if you think you don't have PIP, contact an attorney first, and they can check with your insurer to make sure you really have a valid waiver. The key is get the care you need now. Don't ignore the symptoms and hope they go away. 3. Notify your insurance company, but don't guess or admit fault. You have an obligation under your Washington auto policy to let your insurance company know about the accident, usually within a few days. But keep it simple. Just report the facts. You don't have to guess at details. Don't say you feel fine. You don't know whether you're injured or not, and don't admit fault. There's no reason to admit anything like that to your insurance company. You don't know all the facts yet. Your insurance company might be on your side, but they also have a job to protect their bottom line and their investors. If you have collision or underinsured motorist coverage, you might be able to use your own policy to pay for your car repairs or injuries, even if the other driver is insured or is underinsured or argues that they weren't really at fault. Let your insurance company investigate. You already paid for them to do their job, so let them do it. If the other driver's insurance calls you, you are not required to give a recorded statement. In fact, it's usually better to politely decline, especially if you haven't talked with an attorney yet. Many of the adjusters are trained to ask tricky questions that are designed to trip you up or get you to minimize your injuries. Remember, they've done this 1,000 times. Their job is to protect their insured, not you. If you've already been contacted and you're not sure what to say, it's okay to let them know that you're still gathering information. Never sign any paperwork or agree to quick settlements without legal advice, no matter how friendly the adjuster sounds, or even if they promise you that this is the best you're ever going to do. 4. The claims investigation, proving fault in Washington. Now is when the back and forth will start with the insurance companies. Washington is a fault state. which means that the person who caused the crash and their insurance is responsible for covering your damages. But don't think their insurance company is just going to listen to your side of the story and agree to pay you. They will interview both drivers, review police and accident records, check with witnesses, look at vehicle damage, skid marks. Sometimes they'll hire traffic experts. They'll review any video cameras they can find or body cameras. And this is where all the evidence you gathered becomes vital. If there's a dispute about fault, the insurer may try to argue that you were partly responsible. Since Washington uses a comparative fault rule, if they say you were 10% at fault, you can trust that they'll now try to take a 10% savings on your case. Here's one real example. I helped a woman in Tacoma who was rear-ended at a stoplight. The other driver's insurance claimed it was her fault because she had stopped too suddenly, even though she was just following the law and stopping at a red light. But because she had photos of the scene and careful notes, and there was an eyewitness in one of the other vehicles, we were able to prove the other driver was 100% at fault. The more organized and thorough you are, the stronger your claim will be. If the other driver was ticketed or admitted fault to police, that can help tremendously. But even without that, don't get discouraged. Fault is shown by the whole picture, not just what the other driver says. 5. Getting your car repaired or replaced. Waiting for your car to get fixed can be one of the most stressful parts of a crash. If the other driver's insurance accepts responsibility, you would expect them to repair the car and provide you with a rental during repairs. But don't be surprised when that doesn't happen. If they're dragging their feet or investigating for weeks, often are better off to use your own collision coverage if you have it to get your car fixed faster. If you do that, your insurance company will then seek reimbursement from the other driver's insurance company. Down the road, once that happens, you are supposed to be paid first from that money so that you'll be reimbursed your deductible once the other driver's insurance company pays back your company. This is called subrogation, and it should not raise your rates if you weren't at fault. If your vehicle is declared to be totaled, the insurance company is required to pay you the actual cash value of your car right before the crash. This is not the amount you owe on your loan, and it's not the amount that it would cost to buy a new one. If you think their offer is too low, you can negotiate using local sales listings and repair records. Many times there are specific or unique things about your car, perhaps things you added to your car. You're entitled to be paid for those, getting paid for your injuries and losses. After your car is sorted out, the next focus on compensation should be for your injuries, your medical bills, your lost wages, and pain and suffering. In Washington, these are all called damages, and you have the right to recover them if it wasn't your fault. Start by tracking all of your medical care, doctor visits, physical therapy, prescriptions, mileage to appointments, even over-the-counter supplies. Also, it's a good idea to keep a diary or journal so that someday you can show it to your attorney. Things like that are remarkably hard to remember 6 months or a year down the road, so it's a really good idea to make notes of them. Once your injuries have stabilized, you or your lawyer will send a demand letter to the at-fault insurance company. One of the most common mistakes is settling too soon, before you know the full amount of treatment you're going to need or even the full amount of your injuries. Oftentimes, a person might seem like they're feeling better right after a crash, and then they take money that is a small amount of money. Instead, it's much better to wait and be patient until you have clear diagnosis and prognosis from your doctor. This is almost always the smarter way to go. Now, most claims settle without lawsuits. Sometimes the insurance companies refuse to be fair, and your lawyer might recommend filing a lawsuit. In Washington state, the statute of limitations for most car accident claims is 3 years, so you don't want to wait too long. 7. Should you hire an attorney? You don't have to hire an attorney after every car accident. Sometimes a minor fender bender might only have property damages, no medical bills. In that case, you could probably handle the claim yourself. But if you have significant injuries, missed work, or the insurance company is disputing fault, then hiring an experienced Washington personal injury attorney would make a huge difference for you. The difference is that we know how to build a strong case, how to fight against unfair tactics, and how to maximize what you recover. Insurance companies track claims by people with attorneys, and they know that attorneys who are experienced don't fall for pressure or lowball offers. In many cases, that means that hiring a lawyer results in bigger settlements even after legal fees. If you're not sure whether to hire an attorney or which attorney to hire, most personal injury attorneys in Washington state will consult with you and offer a free chance to look through your case, talk to you, and help you decide what's best. Our office does this all the time. So here's what we've covered in this case. After you're in a crash that's not your fault, always report the crash. Gather evidence, get medical care right away. Talk to your insurance company carefully and be prepared for the insurance claims process. Don't accept the first offer or a quick, cheap offer. And take your time to make sure you really understand what your injuries are and what's going to be needed to treat them before you decide whether a settlement offer is fair. If you found this helpful, you're not going to want to miss our next video, 5 things you should not do after a motorcycle crash. We'll cover the biggest mistakes riders make after crashes and what you can do to protect yourself, your health, and your rights. Don't take another risk without watching. I'll see you over there.